So we've all heard about how people learn, visual learners,
Right.
audio learners, and the people who have to see you do it, then try to do it themselves, and then I don't know. They will remember if they get it, if they do it.
Right.
Now you were explaining that's a whole way of thinking when that guy was explaining
Feynman. Yeah, Richard Feynman.
counting,
Right. And I think
doing
Feynman.
math in his head.
Yeah, I've been contemplating this and trying to describe it for a while. I think Feynman did a better job of describing it than I did.
Okay, how did he describe it?
Well,
It was with the counting, the reading, and the talking.
well, first of all, let me start out by talking about where I came at the problem from, which was people are living in different realities. I mean, really, people are living in different realities. The way we process information, the things, the stories that we tell ourselves about the world that we live in.
We live in our heads, right?
Right. Well, yeah.
More or less.
Everybody has their own version of what this
boy.
looks like. Okay,
Just go slow.
yeah, just in case there's weird stuff. Okay.
No, it's like he's trying to not walk in the water, but then there's that car hauling ass.
Yeah.
Gonna get the poor guy.
Yeah, and what happens if he suddenly decides that he's going to jump in front of the car? What's that car going to do? Anyway,
Oh, he's probably just trying to avoid the water.
probably, yeah. But I don't know what the mental state of the guy walking there was. I'm not familiar enough with him to know what kind of mood he's in when I see him walking.
Anyways, so thinking.
All
You're
right.
in our own reality.
We're in our own reality. Okay, we're both sitting in this truck here, and we're both seeing a road. Well, you're looking at me, and I'm looking at the road. But
I'm taking
if
the
we were
camera.
both looking at the road, we'd be looking at the
think that's
road.
great.
The perspective I have of the road is different from the perspective that you've got. That's one variation or difference in the way that we're experiencing our realities. But whenever I'm looking at the road and I'm thinking about the road, I might be thinking about.
That's not what you
about-
said in the bathroom.
I might be thinking about. Like I said, I'm trying to get it at the problem from my direction, and then I'll talk about how Feynman described it, and maybe that's a better way, which is exactly the entire topic.
It's going the long way.
So I might be thinking about the coloration of the road, how it absorbs heat from the sun, or maybe it's the density that allows it to absorb and hold more energy. I might be thinking about how solid it is. I might be thinking of other things, or you might be thinking, wow, the road's wet right now.
And how it's affecting traction.
The information that we choose to bring to our conscious attention is going to be different based upon a variety of different factors. Everything that leads up to the moment that you're thinking a thought, the way you go about thinking it is going to be different from
Like
one person
I'm a
to the
driver
next.
and you're a scientist.
Well, you're also a passenger and I'm a driver. So the way you're thinking about the information you're receiving about the road ahead is different from the information that I'm thinking about. What comes to my attention, what I pay attention to, and what I'm consciously aware of is going to be different for both of us. All right, now what Feynman was talking about was how he and another
Mathematician.
another scientist. Well, the other guy was a mathematician. And Feynman had observed that he can count in his head. He can count in his head 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he gets to like 45 or 48. Whenever he gets through getting to about 48, that amounts to a minute. And it's consistent. Whenever he counts to 48, that's a minute. And he can count in his head. He's thinking to himself, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's counting in his head. Okay, that's pretty simple. But he discovered that he could actually read a newspaper and count at the same time because he's auditorily instead he's counting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And he can read the newspaper. He goes and he compares notes with a friend of mine, or a friend of his who's a mathematician. And the mathematician says that's just bull. I mean, what? You can't read while you're counting. And the mathematician says, well, I can do the same thing, but he can speak while he's doing it. And this blows Feynman's mind because there's no way I can speak while I'm trying to count. Because whenever Feynman is counting, he's counting using his auditory thinking and his auditory processing to the counting. He's counting auditorily. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
So he can hear himself in his head.
He can hear himself in his head as he's hearing himself think. But he's not using his visual processing for anything, so he can look at symbols on a piece of paper and he can understand what is on the piece of paper. He can read it, actually understand and comprehend what he's reading. Meanwhile, the mathematician, the way he goes about counting his head is entirely different. In his head, he is visualizing the numbers ticking by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Right.
And he's thinking there's no way you can read because his visual processing is being used to count. Right? And I was thinking about this, that's really a wonderful way of describing the different ways that people think and how they can be processing, in essence, the same information, but be processing it in such a different way that whenever you're trying to describe a process to someone in terms that you're familiar with, it doesn't make any sense at all to them, which is...
Oh, that's at one time we had a mutual friend who had a mutual friend who saw the world completely different. and she couldn't put in those kappas. Remember that?
Yep. But yeah, you couldn't do the captures because, well, I mean, we're talking about specifically. We're talking about
Atwoods.
Oh, were we going to Atwoods first?
Or dollar store. Or liquor store.
I don't care. Let's go to Atwoods first.
Yeah, with peanuts.
So dysgraphia, this thing that allows you that whenever you look at a symbol that's supposed to represent a number, you're looking at a symbol that's supposed to represent a number, but your brain interprets it a certain way to the point where the 6 and the G and the 9, they all look the same to you. I mean, it's that symbol, and the orientation of the symbol is what makes the difference in the value, and it doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense.
You know, I had a problem with certain letters and numbers, unless I could see them. 11 and 12, I can't remember which one came first, unless I was looking at it.
I know, that sounds strange to me because I don't have that problem.
The 11 and the 12 and the 13, till you got to the teen, like 13, 14, 15. All the other numbers made sense, but why does 11 and 12 sound different? They got 2 digits. Shouldn't it be a unteen and a dosteen?
Right.
Or dosteen?
So, for a person with dyslexia, I think the solution would really be to alter the symbol that you use to think about a number set. In other words, don't use symbols that can be easily mistaken one for the other if you alter the orientation of the symbol, because they think differently, and that kind of thinking differently can lead you to coming up with solutions to problems that other people wouldn't even see or comprehend.
Right.
So it's not necessarily, well, this person is dyslexic. It's a learning disability. It's something that makes them, less than. It's not necessarily. It's something that makes them distinctly different and unique. And the possibility that they could take that and use it to come to different conclusions is really, really interesting. I have, what we call a disability. I've got a condition where occasionally I will hear light, or
says the deaf guy who's half blind.
Says the deaf guy who's half blind. But the funny thing about that is I can hear light whenever I've got my ears covered and my eyes covered.
You're photogenic, or what do they call it? You're a plant with ears.
Well, no, it means that to a certain extent perception is non-local. It's not definitely tied to the physical sensor.
It depends on where it's going in your brain as well.
Yeah, it's weird. But being able to tell that the light has been turned on in the room, even though my eyes are covered, my ears are stopped up, because I detect what is to my brain an audible frequency. Or whenever the air conditioner compressor kicks on, sometimes this wakens me, and I awaken not because of the sound. I awaken because of the bright flash of light that I can see, even though my eyes are closed. That happens because of the spark gap whenever the radio wave is emitted, even though I don't have a sensor that allows me to see radio waves. Weirdness, huh?
Oh, your brain is weird.
Yeah, my brain's weird. Well, everybody's brain's weird.
Oh.
We're all different. That's kind of the point.
All right, later, YouTube friend.
Bye.
My one stalker, my groupie. Okay, I have a stalker and a couple groupies.
Do you know?
Yeah, some regulars. For you.
Oh, that condition is called synesthesia, by the way.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, later.